Growth requires discomfort. There's no way around it. But the sooner you embrace this fact and start loving the burn, the easier it's going to be for you to drive the results you want. So instead of trying to make things easier for yourself, try to become able to handle more burn, because that will make the difference in the short term. Let's get to it. Hey, I'm Liam, CEO and founder of Selfmastered, a peak performance training company that transforms entrepreneurs into elite performers that can achieve in one day what they previously achieved in 1 week. I've coached and trained hundreds of entrepreneurs and invested in 37 of them. Hello everyone, Leon Castillo here. So whether you like it or not, growth requires discomfort. Why that is, and how to essentially psych up yourself so you can start loving growth, loving friction, loving the burn, loving the feeling of pushing your limits. Since the early days of psychology, I'm talking the end of the 19th century with William James and the beginning of the 20th century with Sigmund Freud, it has been well known how friction, personal friction, is a prerequisite for growth. In fact, I recall reading William James, who is in essence the father of American psychology, saying that everybody has to do at least a couple of things he hates every day just for the sake of practicing. And he's right. And Freud, I think he said that operating at peak performance is going against what he called the death wish, that internal response that tries to keep us stable, safe within our own brain. So every time we push, we get that pushback, right? Steven Pressfield, the author, called this the resistance. And why is that? Why do we need to go through all of this turmoil in order to grow? Well, because, and this is not something the prototypical productivity guru will tell you, we are complex systems. You and me, all humans, were complex systems, subdivided by subsystems. And all systems operate within an environment, and they have relationship between inputs and outputs. And this relationship between inputs and outputs generate feedback. And there's two types of feedbacks: balancing and reinforcing feedback loops. A balancing feedback loop is when the system wants to remain stable, which is called homeostasis. One things to not change. So it pushes back every time there is a misbalance of the normal input-output relationship. And in your case, and in my case, in the case of humans, we are complex systems. And every time we're trying to grow, which means in essence, we are creating new neural connections, and now I'm linking this to neuroplasticity, we need to push back this balancing feedback loop, this tendency to remain stable. Some people call it the internal governor. However you call it, you have it, you and I have it. So you need to push through it. You need to make sure that it does not control your life, because if it does control your life, you're not gonna go anywhere. You're going to be safe, stable, but sometimes, somewhere, something will happen and you will not be ready. You do not be trying to be safe at the expense of becoming better. So how do you do this? How can you break this natural tendency? Well, by reframing your relationship with friction, with the burn. Because the best of the best, the absolute elite, they are constantly seeking discomfort every day because they have internalized something that to me is absolutely essential to fully leverage, which is the things that carry the most growth are always standing at the other side of the highest friction. And we subconsciously know that to be true. We know that the thing we don't really want to do is the thing that we truly should be doing. So instead of shying away of what needs to be done, just go all in. Just make sure that you tackle that first thing in the morning or when you feel more powerful, so that you can break that balancing feedback loop and expand the limits of your competence. And the elite founders we work with, they internalize it so well, and they're constantly looking for the next challenge, constantly looking where can they grow and how much friction would that entail. Now, there's one word of caution here. I've realized that some of them, they expect the friction, right? There's something that they truly seek, but they're very good at pushing in business, for instance, but not pushing in their health, or not pushing in their development, or not pushing in other areas of your life. And I believe it makes sense to truly to push at everything and learn to manage yourself without falling for burnout. So the idea of this video is to remind you that you already know what you should be doing in order to grow. You know it. Now, what are you willing to do it? Are you willing to go towards that resistance? Are you willing to defeat that death wish? Are you willing to do the things that suck every day in order to grow? If the answer is yes, then there's no limit to what you can accomplish. You will not be fearing outreach. You will not be fearing talking to investors. You will not be fearing having difficult conversations with your team. You will not be fearing showing up at your best when it matters most, when you are most needed. Because that is what elite performers do. That is what leaders are paid for. Showing up at your best when it matters most. See you in the next video.